Welcome to the next episode of Beyond the Gym with Willows Health and Lifestyle Centre, where we look at our members, community and experts' journeys with health, wellbeing and fitness, looking to draw inspiration, motivation and education around those journeys. And I'm lucky enough today to have Coach Sarah here. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for your time this morning. Let's start with, I don't know how you fit everything in. And this has been a constant message in our first 3 episodes. We've got some amazing coaches here at Willows. Tell us a little bit about what you do, Sarah. I know you're at LSKD, you've got your own fitness business, you work here as a coach as well. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah. So I teach a few different classes here. I teach the small group classes as well as some circuit and boxing classes. I also have my own PT business that I do as well. So I can sort of have up to 12 to 15 sessions a week that I do here as well with that. My own training that I try to fit in somewhere. And then LSKD hours as well, just working casually for them in the retail side of things. So
amazing. So
yeah,
let's start with time management. So how do you fit all of that in? Do you have a secret or what? How do you go with your time management?
It's a great question. And I find I'm still trying to get the balance right.
Yeah.
I think it's always going to be a little bit of a juggling act, but a few of my mentors have always given me some good advice on those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And it is just a bit of experimenting and seeing what works for me. Not being afraid to prioritize a bit more of my own time. Where there's times where I'll prioritize more of the work side of things or my clients and when they want to come in for sessions, and also then trying to fit my own time either side of that.
Yeah.
But trying to block the time together, I think works well. So having the non-negotiables of when I want to do my own sessions and potentially where I've got the most energy for my own workouts when I need my own time, but and also time for personal training admin and checking out with clients and preparing their programs and that sort of stuff.
There's some real nuggets of gold in there, and it's been consistent message with the other episodes we've had as well. So I think prioritizing your own time is something that's really important, and it's great that you're giving your clients that message as well. And I know you're a wellness coach as well, so and I've heard you talk to your clients around that prioritization of their own time, which is really important. And also the other consistent message that's come through with the other coaches is that blocking of time, which seems to be something that works well for you guys.
Yeah.
And making sure that you've got that block where you can concentrate your efforts on where they're at. Do you see that as one of the big roadblocks for clients achieving their own goals, their ability to time manage?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think that's something that everyone can work on or learn from.
Yeah.
And well, I guess just hearing it from members that come into the space here, or ones that are potentially looking to cancel their memberships, it's always, or maybe PT side of things and making time for that. It's always a time thing that can come into it. I don't know when I'm going to fit this in or how to make this work. I've got so many other commitments. But then they know that if they're not doing that stuff, that they're also headspace wise, energy wise, they sort of suffer for not prioritizing that.
Yeah, it's a tough thing in the world we live in today where everything is so busy. There's always going to be something to do. It's that prioritization of your health and well-being and fitness that's such an important thing. Now, in your own training, I see you've always been really consistent with your training, but at the moment you're training for an event.
Yeah, Turf Games.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Turf Games.
So Turf Games, so it's the 14th and 15th of September. We're in the everyday category, so that's just going to be on the Saturday.
Yeah.
So it's 5 different workouts spaced over the full day. So I think starting from like 9 a.m. or so, 8 or 9 a.m. all the way up until potentially 4 or 5. So it's going to be a big day. They're each like 15 to 20 minute workouts. We've got some swimming. There's a long run in there, and then there's a few other HIIT workouts as well.
Wow.
So yeah, where you're really working hard as you can for that such a short time frame.
Yeah. Sounds like an amazing challenge. So how does your training week look like at the moment in preparation for that event?
So at the moment I do a few different types of sessions through the week. I'll do some HIIT sessions just to get the heart rate up and get that conditioning there. I do some strength work, some swimming in the pool, and trying to do long-ish sort of runs as well, just to amp up for that as well, and recovery too, because I've been finding that with all of that, or just when you suddenly add so much into your routine, that if you don't have that recovery and that stretching either side of it, your body just doesn't recover anywhere near as well.
Yeah, and
all the fatigue kind of sets in.
It's really great how you outline that training program where you're looking at your strength, you're obviously looking at higher intensity training, you're looking at cardiovascular fitness, but you're really prioritizing recovery as well. And it doesn't really matter whether you're training for an event or you're training just for everyday life. It has to be a mix of things, doesn't it?
Oh, and it keeps it exciting too. Yeah. You need that balance, and just to make sure that you're hitting all of the right things.
Do you know that's a mistake a lot of members make, is that they just prioritize one area to train on and forgoing any others, and wonder why they're not getting the results? Is that something you see as a common thing?
Yeah, and it's tricky from a results perspective, because if you're constantly doing the same things over and over again, your body's just going to become conditioned to it, and you've got to give it something new, that new stimulus to get some sort of improvement, or to challenge your body in a new way.
That's a really important message. And I think that's one that sometimes members miss, but also it doesn't have to be for hours or hours. And with the different support mechanisms we have within Willows, obviously you can come into Willows and do your strength training and get advice from the coaches, etc.
Yeah.
But the ability to do your recovery at home in the members portal with yoga sessions, with meditation, it's just something that when you talk about time management, a 10-minute yoga session can make a massive difference.
Yeah. Well, and especially that you could do that from anywhere as well, with that virtual side of things. So if that's in a lunch break or or depending on how much you're really trying to look at every single minute or hour and what you're spending it on as well.
It's that flexibility is so important in training, and I think here at Willows we have a lot of that flexibility. And it's not just about being in the gym. And that's why we call this series Beyond the Gym, because we're here as a core to help you. But it's all about the things you do outside of the gym that's going to bring results, really. And I see that with your own training and goals that you set for yourself. So I've seen you work so hard in your own fitness business and your training, etc. How do you set goals for yourself? What's your secret?
Oh,
big questions this morning.
So I like to look at different aspects of my life. I think that's an important thing, that if you're just setting goals just for the financial side of things, you're missing all of these other aspects of your life that you could always work on. So I try to look at the main pillars in my life that are of importance, which I like my adventures. I prioritize my health as well. My career, and like to make sure that I'm staying on top of things and where I want to progress there, like looking at all the different areas of my life, family, friendships as well, and making sure that I'm trying to tick a few boxes in each of those, just so that nothing gets missed, or that I don't become so laser focused on one area that I then suddenly miss all of these other areas.
Really good advice.
So I try to look at those and try to keep it fairly achievable. I've started trying to do ones where I've got a big goal, but then also what are my weekly steps or weekly goals towards achieving that as well. So when turf games is sort of on the big end game side of things, but then also, okay, well, what am I doing weekly to work towards that? And that for me, getting personal training sessions. So getting one of the coaches here to kick my butt into gear has been really good, and exactly what I needed. But then also, just looking at other things that I'm doing towards that, like making sure I'm keeping up my stretching, all my different types of movement. And there's
some really good points in there. I want to dive a little bit deeper in a couple of things you said. I love your advice on the weekly steps, because often clients, members have that one big goal that they're coming in, and because it doesn't happen straight away, there's that feeling of failure. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if you set those weekly goals, you can start to feel those steps to success, and becomes more about the journey than that final big goal that you're looking to achieve. So I love that you're talking about that. The other point I really want to dig into, you're a coach yourself, but you use a coach. Talk to me about that. Why is a coach so important for you?
Well, I think it's funny because every coach needs a coach. Like everyone needs that help. And I think, well, even for someone like me that knows all the things, like I've got clients and I'm telling them everything that they need to do, but then for me to action that as well, and for me to hit the mark, like I find joining in on group classes works well, and I can be competitive and work against the members and myself, but then having someone one-on-one that can look at my form and push me to a level that I knew I needed to push to, that's sort of why I got,
Once again, I love that balance you're talking about. So you've got group sessions with your community where you can connect with peers and compete, etc. You've got your one-on-one just to make sure you're focused on your goals.
Yeah.
And then you've got your recovery and you've got your stretching, etc. It's just such a balanced program. And personally, I believe that's the greatest way to succeed.
Yeah.
But I'm also a massive believer in coaches, and in my business life, I have a coach, and in my own sporting life, coaches have had a massive influence on my goal setting. So I love both those messages you've given us there around having the big goal, having weekly steps, but having a coach to help you along the way. Recovery. You've got a lot going on. You're training really hard. How big a role does recovery play in your week?
It's become a lot bigger role since starting to train for turf games and really amping up my training. That if I'm trying to hit all these maxes through the week and really push my body to its limits, that if I'm not doing that stuff, that the fatigue really sets in. So listening to my body has been a really big thing. Even just as a day-to-day thing, that I can have these workouts planned, but I know that if I'm not feeling totally up to it, that at least making that day a recovery day and being okay with that, and then knowing that I can then, that'll give me the opportunity to push the limits a little bit more that next day, once I've had that day off to do that. So, but for me, it's been a lot of different types of recovery. So yoga and stretching's been really good, foam rolling, trigger point balls. So everything we put the clients through, we have to do ourselves.
Practice what you preach. That is excellent. And it doesn't matter whether you're training for a really big event or you're training for the everyday, making sure that you've got health and well-being as part of your life. Recovery has to be a part of that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think your message around listening to your body is so important, and having that self-compassion to go, I know I've got to move today, and it was, I did program for myself, or my coach programmed for me a HIIT training session, but I'm just not right for that today, whether it be headspace, whether it be body-wise. It's okay to do a yoga or a quieter walk or a stretch session. It's about listening to that body, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's when your body can, you will see improvements in your body too, because it can't fire on all cylinders all the time. You've got to give that body recovery to actually start seeing results and those improvements in your muscles and the strength.
It's a great message. And even though you are training for a big event at the moment, even when you don't have those events, I see you still training consistently. What is the reason behind that? When you don't have an event to train for, what's your internal push to train most days? I see you train most days with Recovery Centre. What is that about for you?
The everyday is just more of I guess giving myself that push of knowing what I was able to achieve the last week or the week before that, and going, okay, well, trying to match, if not increase that strength and that fitness work each time. I think reading my body on the day and going, well, I'm going to go as hard as I can for what I'm feeling on that day. But if it ends up being the same sort of weights that I've done and I'm not able to increase it, that's okay as well.
And what are the benefits you get from that? Obviously, you're training for games at the moment, but when you're not training for something, what are the types of benefits you get from having health and well-being part of your everyday? I see it's part of your life. So what are the other benefits you get from that?
I think just being a female and feeling like a strong female.
Yeah.
That's I think something that's always driven me a little bit more to the strength realm side of things. And I feel like I've needed that. I don't know, like, so my parents live out in Warwick, and being able to go out and help dad on the property and or feeling like, I can lag around some big bags of potting mix and things like just those sorts of things, like being able to feel like I can help them out. That's a lot of the things too. And just my own, like being able to have a little bit of independence, I think too. And my own health, my own energy, headspace.
It's just such a ripple effect, isn't it? Yeah. Concentrating and prioritizing your health and well-being just has that ripple effect on every aspect of your life. And I've seen you practice it for a long time. So it's not something that you just talk about. I see you practice it yourself. So,
which is a hard thing to do, like when you're telling all your clients what they need to do as well, that it's like you always want to be that coach that's trying to practice it themselves, because the clients are watching too and they know what you're doing as well. So if you're not living up to that, you know, and they know.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot, and I do this in every episode. What's your final message for people out there around goal setting, motivation, inspiration? What's your go-to when you think about those things? Without notice.
So many things. What's a big takeaway? Gosh, there's probably so many things. I think balance is a big thing. What were you going to say?
No, keep going, balance. Yeah.
Just in a lot of different ways. And I always say trust the process. I think that's just always something that I live by. Like, because I know that, and I see it with clients too, that they start doing all the really hard work and making all these changes and then get disheartened when the results aren't happening as quickly as what they want them. But it's like, if you're doing all the right things, trust the process, and it will happen. But you've just got to hang on, and I tell a lot of them, and just in my own experience too, like it can take 2 to 3 months, I find myself, before I start seeing any changes, or I'm like, oh wow, clothes are fitting different, or I'm feeling different, or I'm noticing more muscle mass in certain areas, or I'm feeling better, or the energy's better, whatever it is, that it can take a few months for that. Yeah. For your body to finally kick in and go, oh yeah, okay, this is what we're doing now. Like, but it doesn't happen straight away. So it's just trusting that you're doing the right things, and you're going to get to where you're wanting to by just doing all the right things.
I love that takeaway. Trust the process. I think that's your billboard.
Yeah.
Trust the process. So you're an inspiration. You give me a lot of motivation on how driven you are and what you achieve.
Really, thank you
so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having me.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks everyone for joining us on another Beyond the Gym with Willows Health and Lifestyle Centre, and we'll see you next episode.